I've been driving trucks through Montana for 15 years. It's a different kind of driving up here. The sky's bigger. The roads are emptier. The silence is deeper. You can drive for hours without seeing another vehicle. Just you, your rig, and the endless plains stretching out to the horizon. I used to love that silence. I used to find it peaceful. Then I made the mistake of pulling into that gas station, and I learned that silence isn't always peaceful. Sometimes it's just waiting. It was the middle of November. The temperature had dropped well below freezing. Snow was starting to accumulate on the sides of the road. I was hauling a load of frozen meat from Billings up to a distribution center in Havre. It was a long haul, about 200 miles. I'd done it 100 times. I knew every mile of that route. I knew the towns, the rest stops, the gas stations. At least I thought I did. I left Billings around 10 o'clock that night. The roads were clear, the sky was starry, and the temperature was hovering around 10 degrees. I had my heat cranked up, my thermos full of coffee, and a full tank of diesel. I was feeling good. The load was light. The roads were empty. I was making good time. I drove for about 2 hours. I passed through a few small towns, Worden, Roundup, Hollerton. All of them were dark, quiet, sleeping. I didn't stop. I didn't need to. My tank was 3/4 full. I had enough fuel to get me to Havre and back. I was cruising along, listening to the radio, enjoying the solitude. Then I hit a patch of black ice. It came out of nowhere. One moment the road was clear, the next my tires were spinning. My truck started to fishtail. I wrestled with the wheel, trying to keep it under control. The trailer swung wildly behind me. I felt the whole rig start to slide towards the shoulder. I bumped the brakes, eased off the gas, and prayed. Somehow, I managed to keep it on the road, but when I finally came to a stop, my engine was sputtering. The fuel gauge was dropping. I had been running on fumes without realizing it. I checked the gauge, empty, completely empty. But that was impossible. I had filled up in Billings. I had a full tank. There's no way I burned through all that fuel in 2 hours. I checked again. Same reading. Empty. I pulled off onto the shoulder and grabbed my phone. No service. Of course, I was in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by nothing but snow and darkness. I scanned the horizon. Nothing. Just the black silhouette of the mountains in the distance. Then I saw it. A light. A faint flickering light in the distance. It looked like a gas station sign. I squinted through the darkness. It was glowing yellow, barely visible through the falling snow. I couldn't read the name. I could just see the outline of a sign. A fuel pump. A small building. I had no choice. I couldn't just sit there and freeze. I put the truck in gear and drove towards the light. It was about 5 miles down the road. I coasted most of the way, nursing the last drops of fuel. When I finally pulled into the station, I let out a sigh of relief. It was a small, run-down place. One of those old independent gas stations that used to dot the highways before the big chains took over. The building was a single story, made of weathered wood. The paint was peeling. The windows were dark. The only light came from a single bulb above the door. There was one fuel pump, old, rusted, covered in a layer of frost, and standing in the doorway watching me was an old man. He was tall and thin, gaunt. His face was weathered, lined with deep wrinkles. His eyes were pale gray, almost colorless. He was wearing a heavy coat and a wool hat. He didn't smile. He didn't wave. He just stood there, watching me. I got out of the truck. The cold hit me like a wall. I pulled my coat tight and walked up to the door. I said, "Evening, I ran out of fuel. Can I get a fill-up?" The old man looked at me. His eyes didn't move. His face didn't change expression. He just stood there, staring. Then he said, "Don't go to the next town, it's not there anymore." I blinked. I said, "What?" He said it again. "The next town. Don't go there. It's not there. It's been gone for a long time." I said, "I'm not going to the next town. I'm going to Havre. I just need fuel." He shook his head. He said, "You won't make it to Havre. Not tonight. Not ever. The road doesn't go there anymore. The road only goes one place now, and you don't want to go there." I looked at the old man. He seemed serious, sincere. But I was cold, tired, and running on fumes. I didn't have time for riddles. I said, "Look, I just need fuel. I'll pay whatever you want. Just fill me up." He stared at me for a long moment. Then he sighed. He said, "All right, I'll fill you up. But I'm telling you, don't go to the next town. Don't stop. Don't even look at it. Just keep driving and don't look in your rearview mirror." He walked to the pump and started filling my tank. I watched him. He moved slowly, deliberately. His hands were shaking, not from the cold, from something else, something I couldn't identify. When he was done, he handed me a receipt. I looked at it. It was blank. No amount, no date, no name, just a white piece of paper with nothing on it. I said, "Well, what is this? I need a receipt for my records." He said, "You won't need it. You won't be filing any records. Just get in your truck and drive. And remember what I told you. Don't stop. Don't look back. And whatever you do, don't go to the next town." I got back in my truck. I looked at the fuel gauge. It read full. Thank God. I started the engine and pulled out of the station. I didn't look back. I just drove. The road stretched out ahead of me. Empty. Dark. The snow was falling harder now. The wind was picking up. I could barely see 10 feet in front of me. I slowed down to 30 miles an hour. I didn't want to risk another patch of ice. I drove for about 10 minutes. I couldn't stop thinking about the old man, his pale gray eyes, his shaking hands, his warning. "Don't go to the next town. It's not there anymore." What did he mean? Of course the town was there. I'd driven through it 100 times. It was a little place called Denton, population maybe 400, a church, a post office, a diner. Nothing special. It was definitely there. I'd seen it with my own eyes. Then I saw it. Up ahead, a cluster of lights in the distance. I could see the outline of buildings, a water tower, a church steeple. Denton. I was almost there. I'd be through it in a few minutes. I started to slow down, not because I wanted to stop, just because I was curious. I wanted to see the town. I wanted to prove the old man wrong. I wanted to see that it was still there. As I got closer, I started to realize something was wrong. The lights weren't right. They were too dim, too faint, and they weren't coming from windows. They were coming from the ground, flickering, like candles. I pulled over to the side of the road. I rolled down my window and looked out. The snow was still falling. The wind was still howling, but I could see the town clearly now. And it wasn't a town. It was a cemetery. Rows and rows of headstones, hundreds of them, stretching out across the plain. The lights were candles, flickering on the graves. Someone had lit candles on every single grave. I stared at the cemetery. My blood was cold, colder than the air outside. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. I just sat there, staring at the endless rows of headstones. And then I saw him, the old man, the gas station attendant. He was standing in the middle of the cemetery, right in the center. He was holding a sign, a wooden sign, and on the sign, written in dripping red letters, were the words, "You didn't listen. Now you're mine." I screamed. I actually screamed. I slammed my foot on the gas pedal and drove away from that place as fast as I could. I didn't care about the ice. I didn't care about the snow. I just wanted to get away. I drove for miles. I don't know how far. I just drove. When I finally stopped, I was shaking. My hands were trembling so hard I could barely grip the wheel. I looked in my rearview mirror. Nothing. Just the dark road. No cemetery. No candles. No old man. I breathed a sigh of relief. I thought it was over. I thought I had escaped. Then I looked at my fuel gauge. It was empty. Completely empty. But I had just filled up. I had watched the old man put the nozzle in my tank. I had seen the gauge read full. It was impossible for it to be empty. I got out of the truck. I walked to the back and opened the fuel cap. I shone my flashlight inside. My stomach dropped. The tank was full of dirt. Dark, wet dirt. Like someone had shoveled earth into my tank instead of diesel. I dropped the flashlight. I stumbled backward. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to go. I was stranded, in the middle of nowhere, with a tank full of dirt. I got back in the cab. I was shaking. I was crying. I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know who that old man was. I didn't know why he had done this to me. I looked at the dashboard, at the odometer. The numbers were glowing. Red. I had never seen them glow red before. They read 666 miles. But I had only driven about 100 miles from Billings. The odometer shouldn't have been anywhere near that number. I stared at the odometer. The numbers flickered. Then they changed. They started counting down. 665, 664, 663. Like I was driving in reverse. But I wasn't moving. The truck was parked. I was just sitting there, watching the numbers count down. The radio crackled to life. The voice of the old man came through. He said, "You didn't listen. Now you're mine. You're going to drive forever. You're going to drive until the odometer reaches 0. And when it does, you're going to join me in the cemetery. You're going to be one of the headstones." I screamed at the radio. "Who are you? What do you want from me?" The old man's voice came back. "I'm the one who was supposed to die. I'm the one who died in 1957. I died on this road, in a crash. My truck went off the road and I burned alive. But I didn't stay dead. I came back. I came back to warn drivers. I came back to save them. But nobody listens. Nobody ever listens. So now I have to take them, one by one, until someone finally listens, until someone finally stops." I said, "I'm stopping. I'm listening. Just let me go." He said, It's too late. You already saw the cemetery. You already saw the headstones. You already saw me. Once you see me, you're mine. There's no escape. There's no going back. Just drive. Drive until the odometer hits 0. And then you'll be with me forever." The radio went silent. I sat there in the dark, shaking, crying. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to go. I just knew I had to keep driving. I had to keep moving, because if I stopped, something terrible would happen. I started the engine. The truck roared to life. The fuel gauge was still empty, but the engine was running on dirt, running on something else, something I didn't want to think about. I drove all night. I drove through the snow and the wind and the darkness. I didn't stop. I didn't slow down. I just drove. And the odometer kept counting down. 600, 550, 500, 450. It was getting lower and lower, closer and closer to 0. I don't know how long I drove. It felt like hours. It felt like days. The road stretched out ahead of me. endless, empty. The snow kept falling, the wind kept howling, and the odometer kept counting down. When it hit 100, I saw something in the distance. A light. A flickering light. It looked like a gas station sign. I drove towards it. I didn't know what else to do. I pulled into the station. It was the same station, the same building, the same weathered wood, the same flickering light. And standing in the doorway, watching me, was the old man. He looked at me. His pale gray eyes were sad. He said, "You came back. They always come back. Nobody ever listens. Nobody ever escapes." I said, "Please, just let me go. I'll do anything. I'll never drive this road again. I'll never come back here. Just let me go." He shook his head. He said, "It's not up to me. The road decides. The road always decides. And the road has decided. You're going to drive forever. And when you're tired, when you can't drive anymore, you're going to stop. And when you stop, you're going to join me in the cemetery, in the dirt, forever." I looked at the odometer. It was ticking down. 50, 40, 30. I screamed. I floored the gas pedal. I drove away from that station as fast as I could. I drove and I drove. I didn't stop. I couldn't stop. But the odometer kept ticking down. 20, 10, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I saw the cemetery again in the distance, the rows of headstones, the flickering candles. And standing in the center, holding his sign, was the old man. He was waiting for me. He was always waiting for me. The odometer hit 0. The engine died. The lights went out. The truck rolled to a stop. I sat there in the darkness, in the silence. I knew what was coming. I knew where I was going. The old man appeared at my window. He tapped on the glass. He said, "It's time. Come with me. It's time to join the others. It's time to rest." I opened the door. I stepped out of the truck. The cold hit me like a wall, but it didn't bother me anymore. Nothing bothered me anymore. I walked with the old man, through the snow, through the cemetery, past the rows of headstones. I saw the names on the stones. All of them were drivers. All of them had made the same mistake. All of them had come to the same place. At the end of the row, there was an empty plot, a fresh mound of dirt, and a headstone with no name. The old man said, "This is yours. This has always been yours. You just didn't know it." I looked at the headstone. It was blank, but as I watched, a name appeared, carved into the stone. My name and a date, today's date, and a message. "You didn't listen. Now you're mine." The old man smiled. He said, "Welcome home. I'm writing this down because I want someone to know. I want someone to understand. If you ever find yourself on a road in Montana, if you ever see a gas station with a flickering light, don't stop. No matter how empty your tank is, no matter how tired you are, just keep driving. And if you see an old man with pale gray eyes, don't listen to him. Don't even look at him, because he's not trying to help you. He's trying to collect you. He's adding to his collection, one driver at a time, one headstone at a time. And I'm one of them now. I'm standing in the cemetery. I'm holding a sign. I'm waiting for the next driver. I'm waiting for the next person who doesn't listen. I don't want to do this. I don't want to be here. But I don't have a choice. The road chose me. The road always chooses, and the road never lets go. If you're reading this, don't come looking for me. You won't find me. I'm in the cemetery. I'm in the dirt. I'm in the headstone. But I'll be at the gas station tomorrow night, waiting, watching, hoping that someone, anyone, will finally listen, will finally stop, will finally escape. Because I've been driving for 50 years, 50 years of the same road, 50 years of the same cemetery, 50 years of the same headstone. And I'm so tired, so very tired. I just want someone to listen. I just want someone to stop. I just want someone to save me. But nobody ever listens. Nobody ever stops. And the road never ends. The road never ends.